Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the NS9 Postgame Show, part of the Pittsburgh Baseball Now. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have our co-host, Tyler, a.k.a. Wagner Kutch. And this guy with this dumb, stupid background now. I mean, you give a guy a StreamYard and look what he does. Jim Rosati, what's up?
Hey, I'm just showing some support for my dude, O'Neal Cruz.
I mean, it's not really like that favorable of an image right there, but whatever.
It's like,
so you're saying I need to find another one?
He's just like standing behind you. That's kind of creepy.
How about this? How about this one? Here, we'll do a new one.
Jim's doing like StreamYard blackface right now.
No, that's not what this is. But seriously, he finds a button and that's it. It can't. The children always got to play. Anyways, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to the post-game show. Pirates lose tonight, 3-1. But I don't think all things are bad, considering. So let's talk a little bit about the game today. JT Brubaker. Hey, first off, let's talk about a pitcher for the Pirates going 7 innings in an outing. Jim's gone.
See, Jim.
See, like, I can't. Listen, we just came over to the Pittsburgh Baseball Now network, right? Like, we're doing the post-game shows with them. We're already fired. This is not a great start.
So in order for me to update my background, I had to log in. And when I clicked the button, it kicked me out.
All right, let's get this on track. You kids, I'll tell you.
I'm just hanging out. Like, what do you want? JT Brubaker, 7 innings. Pitch
7 innings from JT
How
Brubaker.
How about that? Yeah, he
Let's
looked good.
talk about it. Like, so we've been on JT Brubaker alert since the beginning of May, right? I know all of us on the show have been kind of intrigued since last year of what JT Brubaker can do. Kind of fallen off that train a little bit start of the season, but to be honest, right, he's doing things differently. That sinker was out full force tonight again. I think he threw the four-seamer 3 times, if that's all. But again, very sinker heavy. Like, he was inducing a lot of soft contact. He was actually still making batters whiff. I mean, granted it was 3 runs, but I look at the start and I come away again like very, very positive on JT Brubaker.
Yeah, and it was against a very good lineup as well. It's not like I mean, we were positive regarding Mitch Keller's start yesterday, but I think tonight's more positive because Brubaker faced a real lineup that is not a bunch of cream puffs.
That's very fair.
Yeah, I mean, this
is not the Detroit Tigers.
This is a much better lineup than what Keller faced yesterday, and no, the sinker, like you mentioned, was working really well. Threw 44 of them. He threw a total of 99 pitches. But yeah, very sinker, slider, curveball heavy, sprinkled in just 3 four-seamers and 2 changeups. So, yeah, that definitely the sinker is playing for Brubaker. I mean, the big thing today was just no home runs. That's usually kind of been his downfall. And so now we can see kind of like, hey, this is what he can do if he can avoid the long ball, which he did today.
DiNardo, isn't it weird what happens whenever people go to outside sources to find pitching tips?
Do we have to start this now? Because I'm telling you, I mean, it was World War III in our group chat. And I know mainly because Jim, again, the child who came and stayed on the stream, right, was just it's so agitating, just egging me on, right? Just making me more pissed off than what I already was. But yes, this is like one of those things again, right? Like with Oscar Marine and the pitching, and yes, we know Mitch Keller, the whole story, whatever. But regardless, like getting back to JT Brubaker this side, like there's a fundamental change in what he's doing. Again, he's very, very secret heavy. The 4-seamer is basically gone. I swear, Jim, if you leave this stream again because you're toying around. But yeah, like he fundamentally is different and the results are there. And you guys know how I am, like I hate to just buy into things, but if there's an actual change into something, then I'm all in for it. Like, let's find out what happens. And like with this situation, I'm all in. I want to keep seeing JT. And I know he had that last outing, which was pretty bad. He gave the long ball. I think, was it 3 home runs last outing? I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Give or take 3. But he definitely gave us some long balls. But like in that stretch, that really was his only bad outing. Like even today, I look at this and it's very positive. It's a good outing in my eyes. So he has looked every bit of a capable starting pitcher.
I just think it's really weird what will happen when you throw a pitch that's harder to hit in the air. It's like someone should have thought of it.
You're egging me on too. You want me to just go off on the show, and I'm not going to do it. You're not going to trap me.
I'm really glad there's somebody on that Pirates pitching staff that decided to say, you know what? That 4-seamer that everyone's been hitting 500 feet for the last 3 years, maybe we throw something that they can hit into the ground instead. That'll work. And then we get better.
Right.
While we're at it, maybe we call our old buddy that is now pitching a lot better somewhere else, because this guy don't know what the hell he's talking about that's telling us what to do.
And that's what's irritating me. Like, that's why I want to get down to this. Whoever's listening, or we got to make the call. I don't know what it is, but I need to know. I absolutely have to know to either confirm or allow me some. I'll apologize and take some things back. But I need to know why and what led to the fundamental change in JT Brubaker and Zach Thompson, because we know what it was with Mitch Keller, and we know what Mitch Keller's allowed to do now, and he's allowed to go see the other pitcher that the Pirates essentially failed in Clay Holmes with, and now he's one of the best relievers in baseball. So he's allowed to go talk to him and perfect the sinker that he accidentally just started throwing in a bullpen session and started using games all on his own for. Right. And then got the okay from the pitching staff, say, yeah, you know what? That kind of makes sense. You guys should do that. Well, like, where were you to kind of encourage that?
DiNardo, not to mention, basically the front office in the minor league development camp hasn't really changed that much since the last time they decided we're going to throw nothing but 2-seamers, 5 years ago when they were all in the 2-seamer game. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we listen to someone else. Jim?
Well, with Thompson, it was the cutters, right? He's throwing a lot more cutters than he was. Who knows? Maybe that was something he decided. Maybe that was something Oscar Marine was like, hey, your slider is a pretty good pitch. We should throw it more. What was that?
That was you saying Oscar Marie and we wanted to go to bed.
Oh, I thought you were gargling some beer or something.
No, I was gargling. I was pretending to be you with Oscar Marine.
Well, no, I'm not defending Oscar Marine here by any means. I'm not a fan of the guy. He hasn't really shown me much up to this point. But who knows? Who knows who made that decision? I don't think there's anything wrong with going outside the organization for help on a specific pitch. So I don't know what the big deal is. If I have a pitcher and he's wanting to learn how to throw a sinker, I want him to get advice from like the best sinker ball pitcher in baseball, and that happens to be Clay Holmes. So, yeah, ask Clay Holmes how he's throwing his sinker. Ask him for tips. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if all you're doing is just telling your players, I don't know, go ask so-and-so, go ask so-and-so, then yeah, we have a problem. We don't know if that's happening or not. But maybe it was just like, hey, you know what? You know Clay Holmes. Check with him. See what he's doing. He clearly has an awesome sinker. I don't see any issue whatsoever with going to Clay Holmes and asking him tips on a sinker. I encourage it, in fact. Like I want him to go to Clay Holmes and learn about the sinker.
By the way, I love the comment. If Jim has to get a background from outside, what value is there adding? Appreciate that. That's perfect. But to go along with what you're saying, Jim, like I get it, and I want to stress that point. And I know we're kind of off topic here a little bit about like the post game in a sense, but like I'm perfectly okay. And there is an opportunity that maybe you don't know. You're like, this is not your strength, so I'm not going to teach it. Let me go. I got this guy. I know this. Let me lead you to this direction and perfect that for you and lead you to get better, right? So like if this is a situation for Mitch Keller, it's like, hey, listen, Mitch, like first off, you identified and say, you know what, Mitch, I think you might be able to benefit from adding a sinker. Now that's step one, identification, which doesn't seem to be what happened in this situation, right? It seemed as Mitch Keller just started throwing that. So there's no identification of the problem. Number two is saying, now I don't teach this well, but this guy does, or hey, you know what, Clay's doing this well. You guys have a great relationship. Why don't you talk to him? That's perfectly fine. My issue is you've never hear anything of, well, you know what? Oscar approached me and he said I should start doing this, or Oscar said this, or Oscar, or anyone, anybody in the organization. Like, it's this guy leaves and he starts doing XYZ, and now he's a better pitcher again, right? With Clay Holmes, and like what you're hearing is all external things, nothing internally, and that's what bothers me. So again, when it comes to JT Brubaker right now, he's looking like, I'm not going to say phenomenal as an ace, right? But he's looking phenomenal in the sense of what you think and expect of JT Brubaker. He looks like a good pitcher. He belongs in a rotation. Now, mind you, it's now 7 starts since May, maybe 8 or so. But in those starts, he has looked like a very capable pitcher who led the horse to the water to say, stop throwing your 4-seamer, throw that 2-seamer. To me, that's very important to know going forward with his pitching staff, with his coaching staff. Is this the guy?
Why do we need to know that? I mean,
because if he's not adding any value, then
but why does it matter if me and you know that?
Oh, well, it doesn't. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, the team knows who said it. Why does it matter if we do?
Well, it matters for me to make my definitive decision on whether
you don't have to have a definitive decision. Like, you can just say, I don't know. You don't have to come out with a hot take.
I don't have a hot take. But if I'm going to discuss about this organization, I would like to know the information to discuss. And so far, the information that I do know is what's leading me to this decision.
But there's some information that you don't know.
Yeah, and apparently Oscar Marine doesn't either. It's like a 2-seamer. You don't know it.
Again, I'm not defending Oscar Marine here. I'm not defending Oscar Marine, but I can't draw a reasonable conclusion off of Brubaker, Keller, Thompson. I can't come up with the reason. I can't make a definitive decision on saying this was these players. The players are the reason why they're better, or Marine's the reason why they're better. I don't know. I know they're doing better, and I like to see that. So I'm cool with however that happened.
We have fundamental differences on this, and we could, trust me, I already know because we had a group text.
I
we could go
feel
on for
like
about 5 hours, but we won't. So,
DiNardo, did we invite Ethan on this podcast?
Getting back to the game. So JT Brubaker, right? Again, looked very, very good. I'm still encouraged. Again, like heading forward, we've talked about as a bullpen arm starter. I mean, if he's keeping this up, and it's been some time now too, like Tyler, your kind of point past few weeks as well is, it's something they're doing different. So teams aren't like really expecting it. Like it's not part of the scouting report and such. I think at this point in time, like he's been doing it long enough. I think we have a large enough sample. I like this JT Brubaker.
Yeah. I mean, we're at the point in the season right now where that 4-seamer's been scrapped probably half the year, and he's not throwing the 4-seamer at all. Like if you look at his pitch stats, it's sinker slider. Last year it was 4-seam slider, and 4-seam's essentially gone. So 7 innings a night. Like, I don't know if we thought we'd see that from a Pirates pitcher this year. Pleasantly surprised, I guess. Like maybe he can actually hedge it out as a 4-5. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe.
Buys a lot of hope, though. I'll say again, like with this future, I think we've talked about this enough. The depth of starting pitching is kind of problematic, especially when you looked at, you can't really expect anything from Mitch Keller, probably not so much from JT Brubaker. Like it's all on the arms and shoulders of Roansy Contreras, and then what it's coming from the minors. So, hey, what if JT Brubaker can be a competent starting pitcher? Then that's a guy that you can pencil in that rotation going forward. What if Mitch Keller can be a competent starting pitcher now? That's another guy. Like maybe there's actually 3 pitchers that's part of this future currently on this roster that could be in the rotation and give you some quality innings. I think this could be a really big win right now.
Yeah, I mean, if Brubaker is able to come out and be competent, right, and just pitch okay baseball, that goes a long way. Because at the beginning of this year, looking at this rotation, it was like, okay, we've got Jose Quintana, who I think is going to be able to do some things, and then who the hell knows what else is going to happen. But now you're kind of looking you're looking at the rotation, and it's kind of taking some shape. Q's pitching well. Rowanzi's just awesome. Keller's been pitching well lately. Thompson's been pitching well lately. Brubaker's been pitching well lately. So the starting pitchers have done a pretty good job really since when we talked on Monday, since the beginning of May. Really once May hit, the starters have been completely different. And they're going deeper in games. They're keeping the ball team in the games. The problem is the offense. I mean, the pitching right now is fine. I mean, it's been borderline like really good actually lately. The offense is just the issue currently. And listen, I don't know if I'm a believer in Brubaker long term as a starter. Like I haven't really changed my mindset on him. He still really just has like one good pitch. If you look at the rest of his pitches, they really aren't good. He's getting by right now though. And like I said, the not giving up a homer today was big. That's usually what he does. He gives up. I mean, his home runs per 9 innings is
even in this good stretch, right? Since May 7th, he's given up 1.44 home runs per 9.
Yeah. So if you're pitching 6 innings and you're giving up a homer and there's a guy on base, and that can derail your start a little bit. So that didn't happen today, and it ended up working out for him.
I think Jim brought up a real good point actually about Brubaker having one good pitch. When you watch Mitch Keller, as much as he struggles, you see that fastball, you see the 2-seamer now with a lot of run, and you see that slider that is just incredible. The curveball works well. They don't have guys like that, which is why they really goes back to the original point. They have to have him work out in the starting rotation because there's not guys that grow on trees like that.
Talking about Keller.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, Keller emerging as a decent starting pitching option goes such a long way when it comes to the future of this organization, because going this year, Keller wasn't somebody you could count on. You were like, okay, what's this rotation going to look like in 2 years or 3 years? And you're like, all right, Contreras probably going to be in there. And then you start looking at some prospects, but there was nothing on the major league team that you could have penciled in for starting rotation 2 years from now. And now it's starting to think. I mean, I still want to see some more starts get strung together, but Keller looks good. And I know it was against the Tigers his last time out, but he looks pretty good.
Yeah, there's just not guys that can pop 95 plus with a 2-seamer with a curveball and a slider that look like that. I mean, we talk about Brubaker being potentially competent, but like you guys said, it's one pitch. There's not
right.
He has all the stuff.
And like I want to get to that a little bit too, like to Keller. Like what would you say? So I feel like now like this is where the velocity is really making a play. Because the whole offseason was about his velocity, right? But the fastball still was just bad. Great. Who cares? Like a lot of people can throw 99, right? But now you have this 2-seamer, and the 2-seamer looks, like you said, really good, and it's coming in at 95 plus. So like now it's not a 2-seamer of like say this was last year and he started throwing it, right? It's not a 2-seamer coming in at 92, 93, which is what he was like throwing last year, or even less. Like this 2-seamer's got a lot of run, it's got a lot of movement, a lot of life. And then you said like all the other pitches on, he looks really good. Like, yes, the first start he had out, he had 5 walks, right? But he looked good. Again, kind of giving like that pass. This is his first start, really using it. his last one, sure, it was just the Tigers. You can say that. But like looking at him, you're getting back to that whole he looks different. Like think about this. The reason we were on the train again this spring wasn't because of the velocity. We were poo-pooing the velocity. Like, I don't care. Let me see results. Spring came and he looked very confident. And he was having a lot of swings and misses, right? And that's why we were on the train. And then the season started and that was gone. I feel like you're seeing him, right, different. And I don't know if a lot of that had to do with just mentally, but maybe mentally he just also just accepted, which he's kind of come out and talked about. We had a conversation with, who was it? Mackey, I think, because of Cole Tucker being DFA'd. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I kind of felt like that could be me and I don't want that to be me. So like, maybe he also is more accepting, like, listen, I gotta figure this out. More ownership on him. And like I said, he just looks like a starting pitcher on top of actually being a starting pitcher, getting those results.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like, say you're a super talented college basketball team in the tournament and your back's up against the wall and you haven't really been performing, but like all the talent in the world is there and you can be dangerous. But then like once you get that sense of urgency, like it's now or never, like that team can just click, right? And it seems like that hopefully is what happened here. Like his back was against the wall. He was like, I need to do something now or I may not be a major league pitcher anymore. Made the necessary changes, implemented them, worked on them. And now we're hopefully seeing him turn into the guy that we thought he could be. Maybe not necessarily like the top of the rotation starter, like we were hoping, 5-6 years ago. But if he can be just like a solid number 4 pitcher if he could be a solid number 4 pitcher that you can rely on, go out there and keep you in ball games every time you hit into the ball, I'll take that. I'll take that all day right now.
To be fair, like his expected ERA and his FIP are in line with what you would hope for him. I mean, the big thing I think about that 2-seam is that he has a pitch now that hopefully he can use as something to, instead of having to miss the bat with the 4-seam that he's never been able to do in the majors, as now he can go to that as either something that we saw the first start with him where he caught you looking, or just something weak contact type of pitch, because he didn't really have a pitch they could go to get a double play or anything like that.
It's true.
Fair point.
He had the curveball that, if he caught you off guard and out in front, then that's one thing. But yeah, it's been interesting to see the Mitch Keller turnaround here. So I know this isn't really post-game talking about Mitch Keller, but yeah, no, he's like the one guy who, just because you mentioned it, Tyler, like the stuff is there that like you want to believe, like you it's hard to give up on someone like Keller. Whereas when you look at somebody like Zach Thompson, for example, it's maybe a little bit easier to give up on him just because the stuff isn't there. Now, with that being said, Thompson's been great lately. Everybody's been great lately. We just need a hit at this point.
So let's get to that. So the offense, right? As you mentioned, the offense really hasn't been there tonight. I mean, it was kind of there, just didn't capitalize on it. So we had 3 hits in the first inning, 0 runs. Starts out with Brian Hayes just hitting one right up the middle, right through the gap, gets on first. Max Fried picks him off. Great pickoff move. I mean, he was just the pause button hit. He just stood there, didn't even move. It was like I'm toast. So Brian Hayes was out. Brian Reynolds just blooped his way through all kinds of hits tonight. But they count.
Maybe that gets him going. Maybe it gets him going. Like, you just need to see the ball. Like in basketball, you just need to see the ball go through the hoop. Maybe he just needs to see the ball go into the outfield every now and then.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like, I don't think many of them were really hit worthy. Not especially that second one. I jokingly said, like, I thought of Tyler when he hit that ball. I was like, this is the one where Tyler's like, I could hit Hendricks. Like, that gave all of us hope that we could hit a major league pitcher, because that became a hit. I don't know how that was a hit, but that second one he hit right between first and second was a hit. So
that was a very
yeah,
weird thing
you
to
know,
say.
it's like things were just kind of falling for him tonight. So again, like we've talked about this before, but maybe this does get him going. I don't know. But I think the big news as far as the offense goes, once again, Jack Suwinski, strut your stuff, Tyler. Jack Suwinski goes deep.
I seem to
NL
remember
home run rookie lead.
Jim wasn't on that episode, but I seem to remember a certain North Shore 9 episode where we discussed, like, I don't know, maybe the first couple weeks of Jack Suwinski, and there was a certain co-host that said, you know what, he's got a little pop in his bat, and then I got Well, one of them was against Yadier Molina. Yeah, I mean, he's got some pop in his bat. I wonder what that co-host is up to now. That's all I wonder. He should probably be a scout in the majors.
Trying to reel this show together. Jim's logging off. Tyler's camera looks like it's a potato. I'm trying to work magic over here doing this stuff. Listen, this is Dunk on Donardo night. Fine, I'm up for it. Yes, I did say that because yes, one of his home runs was off Yadier Molina, and I'm not gonna count that. So I'm sorry. I'm also putting an asterisk next to him as a home run leader because one of them was off Yadier Molina. That doesn't count. No, but honestly, here's the thing: he had that half season in San Diego, right, in Double A last year before the trade happened, where he was, I mean, hitting home runs right and left, right? The ISO was there, comes over to Altoona, dips down to off top of my memory, like 140, I think, was ISO around that. Like you look at his exit velocity this year, he's not like up there. It's not like he's Aaron Judge where he's just pounding the ball. So yes, call me skeptic. 2 weeks ago when the guy was batting 190, right, with weak exit velocity and like a half season the minors ever shown like legit power. Now, I'm still skeptic to a degree. Like, I don't think this guy's going to hit 30, 40 home runs a year. But I'm pleasantly optimistic in seeing him. Again, we've talked and discussed how he looks competent up there at the plate. Results are now coming. It's translating. The power's still going. So maybe he can be a decent everyday player. Like I'm buying more into the Jack Suwinski train right now than I was. So yes, Tyler. Yes.
I am I'm pretty surprised with honestly what he's doing. You know, when he was called up, I was expecting him to be up here for like a couple of days, maybe, you know, before being sent down to Altoona, because we were all wondering, you know, why'd they bring up guys from Altoona? And it was like, oh, well, Indianapolis, the guys couldn't get there in time, right? Like that was the reason why he got called up. And he's just, ever since he was called up, he's been a staple in this lineup. We mentioned it before about just how comfortable his at-bats looked, but the results weren't there at the beginning. Now you're seeing him be even more comfortable, honestly. And the results are excellent. You mentioned the exit velocity and all that. And yeah, like he doesn't crush the ball every single time he's up there, but he gets some lift on the ball. If you look at his barrel percentage, he's in the 89th percentile in Major League Baseball when it comes to barrels. So yeah, he may not be hitting the ball hard, but when he does hit the ball hard, he hits it in the air and those balls are going over the fence. Like it's been a really, really good turnaround for him. I mentioned it today too, during the game. I think today's at bat was like 8 pitches. And I feel like he's done that a lot lately where he will put together these good at bats and fight and fight and fight. He'll foul off pitch after pitch after pitch until that pitcher makes a mistake or gives him a ball that he can get the barrel to. And he's winning those battles. Like I want to say like 4 of his last home runs, he's seen at least like 8 pitches. Like they're long at bats. They're 3-2 counts. He's fouling pitches off and he's finally getting that pitch he can handle and he makes the pitcher pay. So I said, all those comfortable at bats, him looking good up there. We're finally starting to see like the results come with it, and couldn't be happier with where he's at right now. I'm not really ready to like anoint him the starting right fielder for the next 6 years, but I want to see more of him every day. He's one of the more interesting people in this lineup right now. And it's just one of those things where, it's refreshing to see, you load up this farm system with talent, and like you really get excited about those top guys. But like, this is just a guy that was kind of acquired for depth, right? I mean, he wasn't a top 20. I mean, what's Jack Suwinski on Fangraphs? He's the team's number 30 prospect.
He was
number 30. So team's 30th prospect. And now you're seeing him kind of bust out. No AAA time whatsoever. And it's good to see. Because the more you
I just want to say,
guys,
to be fair,
like
though,
this,
I feel like at the time of the trade, though, I think he was like number 16 in the Padres. I think he was higher than 30.
Well, that was after the Padres traded away like 40 players.
Well,
too,
and right. And I
previous
get that.
years.
It's fair.
So,
I just wanted to make some comparison there, though, too.
but that's what I mean. Like, the Pirates have stockpiled so many guys who aren't necessarily like, they're not going to show up in top 100 rankings, but they've got some talent to them. And you hope that just out of those guys, you just accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. Something clicks for a couple of them. And hopefully Suwinski is one of those guys where you weren't really expecting much from him, but all of a sudden he busts out and you found a starting outfielder. Kind of like the way Brian Reynolds happened, right? I mean, he was the same way. It wasn't really heralded when he came over. It wasn't heralded when he was in the system. Came up. Now you've got, your everyday outfielder of the future.
Yeah, and the thing about Suwinski is me and the daughter were ready to send him back down a couple weeks ago, I think. And he went through a phase there in May where he was striking out over plus 30% of the time. And we're starting to see that tighten up a little bit. It's still not probably where you want to see it, but that power is really starting to show a hair. And like Jim said earlier, he lifts the baseball. The swing works. You'd like to see a few more walks in this game, but I mean, there's something there that the guy definitely belongs in the major leagues.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Yes, Tyler, you and I were discussing it. It's like at some point results have to come. You can only get away in being here long enough by just looking the part. But results have to come. And I feel like it was the moment where we discussed that is when the results started coming. And so like, good for him. And like, this is why, like, again, how much we pound the table, like development does happen in the major leagues. Like, you don't just have to be 100% ready and see the major leagues and then just take off. So for him, again, he'd never seen, he spent some time in AA. He'd never seen AAA yet. He comes right up. So maybe with some catching up. And to Jim's point about all the foul balls, like all the pitch counts going deep and such for him, that's the things we were discussing from day one also from him. It's just the results weren't there. Like he was having, it seemed like every time Jack Suwinski was up, it was a full count. Just at that point in time, they were ending in usually fly out, or something like that. Not so much a K, but it was becoming an out. And now they're translating to hits and now especially home runs. So it was like maybe things are starting to click. Like development's there. I want to see him as long as I can. And hopefully things work out that you never see him go back down. Like he's here to stay. And that would be great. So I'll go ahead.
I think the one really encouraging part right now is that this team's confident enough to put him in the 3-hole. Like they're not hiding him in the lineup. So he's going to face the breaking ball a lot, which we saw him struggle a little bit with tonight, but we also saw him put one over the wall. But
yeah, that was a Max Fried slider. Like that wasn't some bum pitcher.
That was a very impressive piece of hitting right there.
Yeah,
and we're not seeing a Yu Chang in the 3-hole or whoever the hell else at Van Meter. I don't know.
Right.
So
Yoshi.
It's kind of encouraging that they're confident enough in where he's at right now that they're willing to put him right behind Brian Reynolds.
That's a fair point.
What would you have said if I told you opening day? Because we knew Bobby Witt Jr. was making the majors, Julio Rodriguez, Spencer Torkelson, all these guys were on major league opening day rosters. And I was like, guys, on June 9th, Jack Suwinski is going to lead all major league rookies in home runs. Like, this is wild. It's a wild thought.
It really is. Because first off, how many things went wrong that Jack Suwinski is in the majors over like the laundry list of players you would have expected to begin with, right? And then it's like, did he just have like 5 home runs in a week? Which actually kind of has done. So I take that back. That is part of it.
Go back to that.
I think it's 4 in the last 10 days. Yeah.
You go back to that and you tell me Jack Suwinski has 7 more Major League home runs than O'Neal Cruz in June. I probably want to light myself on fire.
Well,
but so let's talk about this too a little bit. We can tie this in because we did have a comment here, a question. So Anthony does say, do you feel differently about the Frazier trade with how Suwinski and Marcano have hit in Pittsburgh? I'll let you guys start off with that.
I don't think either of those to me are irrelevant. It's more that Adam Frazier just kind of stinks now. So it made me feel a little better. Because we went through so many trades where everyone improved so much that it was nice to have someone get traded and then stink. That I'm okay with it now.
That's true. I don't know if the Pirates could have gotten more for Adam Frazier. Clearly, this was what they settled on as the best package. At the time, I wasn't super duper high on the trade. I didn't really find much interest in Suwinski or Marcano. Definitely not Marcano. But yeah, I would say my thinking on the trade has changed because of those two. Like, I think Marcano is carving out a potential role on this team. And Suwinski could be an everyday corner outfielder. Like, it's possible at this point.
I'm far more interested
I think
in Suwinski than Marcano.
Where I'm at with this, I don't really care too much what Adam Frazier is doing today. Okay, like the time of the trade, here's his value, you get that value back. What always worried me at that time was Marcano being the headliner. Just puzzled by it. Again, why? I still have my doubts with Marcano, and his question does say too, like his time in Pittsburgh. I mean, it's very, very limited, but I'll give him like he has clicked in AA. And his time in Pittsburgh, we saw the 2 home runs, and that's just something he simply just didn't think he could do. So he proved that it can be done. Now there's going to be consistency. That's the next thing. So I'm not really even that intrigued in Marcano because I still just kind of feel like he is at best going to be a utility player. He has great defense. It's almost like we joke he's Cole Tucker light, right? It's almost like I feel like he's going to become what we hoped Cole Tucker could become. Has really good defense, can play all over, and the bat's just good enough to be there, right? That's what I always say with Cole Tucker. Like, that's why he's going to play all over, because if he can have a valuable glove and play every position with just a bad bat, you can make it. Now, his is just worse than bad, and his defense wasn't that good in the outfield either. So, but my thing is, and I actually went back to the show and listened to Jim. We talked about Marcano and Suwinski, and the thing we said was, I mean, Suwinski could become the better player of this. And it's showing that I think he is. And that's good. So, I mean, with it, I'm feeling more comfortable with the trade because of Suwinski's development. So that is where I'm at. It would have been nicer if it wasn't Marcano in my eyes, it was somebody else. That's where I'm at. But yes, Suwinski's development is certainly surprising me pleasantly. And I feel more comfortable with that trade. Absolutely. All right.
Yep.
So I guess to move on. So we're talking prospects. Travis Swaggerty got his very first hit technically tonight. That's what a memorable first hit on that one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if tomorrow they came out and they were like, hey, this was an error. Yeah, we looked at it again. But I will say this, and it's a little frustrating. Like, he's been up here for 3. Like, he didn't start against the righty, but he's got 2 starts against lefties. I wish they would, maybe ease him in a little bit more against righties instead of lefties. But in the minors, he could hit lefties just fine. So maybe it's not a big deal for him. But that was just something that kind of popped in my head as they started him against the lefties, didn't start him against the righties.
I think they're in a weird outfield crunch right now.
They have no righties anyways.
But they're in a weird spot where you got Brian Reynolds and then 3 guys that you'd like to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who the odd man out right now is. I mean, I guess it's just, in my opinion, Cal Mitchell, because we've seen enough that he hasn't really performed that well, but he has performed well. I just want to see Swaggerty. I mean, no matter what, I'm going to complain on who's not in the lineup.
Right.
I wish one of them could play the infield.
The most frustrating part of all of it is, when one of them is sitting, Yu Chang is playing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like, and I really wish, and we brought it up before already, but I would really like to see a Cal Mitchell at first base, just like experiment, see what happens. So that way you can get Mitchell in at first. You can play Chavis at second, right, instead of Chang. Go Swaggerty, Reynolds, Suwinski in the outfield. Vogelbach at DH for now, right? That's what I wouldn't mind seeing. I don't know if Cal Mitchell's just never played first base in his entire life. It's possible. But the guy is not a very good defensive outfielder from what we've seen so far. The arm is non-existent. He just played that ball the other day just terribly. So I would be – that's kind of where I'm at right now. Cal Mitchell, as far as outfielders go, odd man out. I don't really think he's good enough to be an outfielder, quite honestly. See if he can play first. See if he can play DH. He's going to have to hit, though, if you want him to really be at either of those positions. But you might as well find out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think the other tough part is Dan Vogelbach because he has to DH.
Yeah.
So and you have to keep him in the lineup because he's hitting. So he's
let me
he's making it difficult.
So that's kind of where I'm at here. Because I think if you look at the outfield, Suwinski, and that's the other thing to talk about Suwinski, right? That's another reason why I've always felt like he has a longer leash, because not only was he an outfielder by name, which is something the Pirates didn't have, he actually played the position very well. Like, he was a very, very good outfielder also. So you have Suwinski in the outfield who's very good. Swaggerty, of course, you assume is going to continue to be a very good outfielder. And of course, there's Reynolds out there. So like with the 3 of them, you have a very good, competent outfield. Cal Mitchell, not so competent. I'm not saying he's a bad outfielder by any means, but he's not a good outfielder, I feel like. So he's not producing as far as hits go. But let's be fair too. Suwinski wasn't either at this point in time, like in his major league path, right? And eventually started clicking. So like, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, Cal Mitchell doesn't look good, let's get rid of him now, because it's not totally fair to him. Let's give him some more at-bats. But he does, in my eyes, he's the last of the pecking order, right? So to Jim's credit, like he's saying too, well, Yu Chang's playing second base. I mean, he's terrible all over the place. So what is the harm of getting Vogelbach in there at first base here and there? Because think about value and just the team in itself, right? A Yu Chang and a Chavis, like Yu Chang offensively hurts how hard, and defensively hurts how hard. Getting him out there and just taking the little bit of lack you're getting in Vogelbach and his defense at first. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the team's still better off overall, even though it's a bad defense at first. Hell, you had Yoshi there for how long, right? You know what I mean? So like, at least Vogelbach can hit is what I'm getting to. So like, why don't you find ways to maybe get Cal Mitchell in there by like Cal Mitchell being a DH, Vogelbach at first, Reynolds DH, like however you do it. But like, why can't we get maybe Vogelbach some reps at first so Yu Chang doesn't have to play, and that way you can see all those guys that you want to see?
There you go. Can you hear me?
I don't disagree with you at all, Donato.
Yeah.
And yes, we can. But I can't disagree with you whatsoever. It comes more to me about my complaint about Shelton is I don't know if he knows what he's doing in lineup construction. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's a nightmare. Crack.
All right.
And
There we
yeah,
go.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
get
he
him.
says- yeah, Cal Mitchell's arm does not play in right field, and right. I mean, we're clearly seeing that. So, and like to Jim saying, maybe get him some reps at first. Like I'd be okay with that.
But the thing is, it's not just Cal Mitchell. It's that there's a handful of guys behind him as well that are probably going to be able to get some outfield reps. Like if Cal Mitchell doesn't work out, Kanan Smith and Jigba's right there. Hell, O'Neal Cruz might be there. Who knows? Marcano that just got mentioned. Like,
And then you
there are
also have
guys,
like
and
Ben
Ben Gamel.
Gamel and Jake Marisnik are
Yeah,
on the
like,
IL. You can't just
there
like
are
forget
guys.
about those guys. Yeah.
So at some point, something's got to be done here where the Yu Changs of the world have to go by the wayside, which they
Right.
will, but it's don't waste at bats with them, and let's find out what's going on with the guys that are up here now. That we Yu Chang, Van Meter, we know they're gone. We don't need to see more. Let's find out what we got with those four, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah. And sorry, my mic cut out there for a second, but you mentioned Vogelback at first base, and I think they're gonna like if you want all those guys to play, you've got to try Vogelbach at first base because if he's a DH, then that takes a spot away for one of those four guys. And, you've got to have Reynolds in there, obviously, but then you want to see the other three. And maybe you just do a little alternating thing where, you start 2 out of 3 games. Everybody just starts 2 out of 3 games, right? Maybe that's what they do. I'd like to see more of that, more than just 2 out of 3, especially with Suwinski. I mean, Suwinski's basically in every day. He doesn't sit anymore at all. So yeah, Vogelbach played 407 innings last year at first base. I just looked it up. He started 52 games there. So, I mean, that was a year ago, and he wasn't awful. Like, he wasn't good by any means, but he wasn't good, but like he wasn't awful. So I wouldn't mind.
Am I mistaking then? Because I might have done since 2020, maybe the last 3 years.
Saved, right?
He's like the second worst first baseman in baseball, like over whatever span it was.
I mean, he only played 52 games.
Oh, was that it? Like he's never played any. What about in Seattle?
What am I talking about last year?
Well, I know I'm saying like even in the past.
And like I said, he wasn't good. That's what I'm saying. But like, we're used to shitty first base play anyways. He's not going to be that much worse than Yoshi, if any worse at all.
And that's fair. Like, I just want to put perspective. Like we might be able to go back and forth, and we're splitting hairs. He's pretty bad, but even him being pretty bad is an upgrade over what's there, which is Yu Chang at second base and him DHing. Like that's what I'm getting at. Like I would take the bad defense and Vogelbach there to have Mitchell there, opposed to Vogelbach as a DH and have Yu Chang in the lineup. So regardless, I mean, yes, I do. I'm with you. Like I want to see him there, so that way you get these other guys in the lineups and Yu Chang out.
I would take Vogelbach getting DFA'd or whatever they got to do with him to let everyone else get in the lineup. Vogelbach's not going to be here next year. So I'm just, for example, like I would take that just to get everybody else in the lineup that needs to be in the lineup.
Well, he has another year.
I don't care.
He has an option.
He's not part of the future. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm using that as an extreme example of.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
No, I don't think he. Okay, I don't think he's getting DFA'd. I'm just saying I would take him.
Yeah,
I don't need him on team. Like,
I understand.
Give me what we got.
Let's find out. At this point, like, I still want the offense to not be completely inept. So, like, having him in there is good because, like, he does put together good at bats. He sees a lot of pitches. He gets on base. and there aren't too many people in this lineup who you can say that about. So like he's still, I think, is kind of earning his keep for now. But yeah, if at some point he goes and just is terrible, right, and he has a prolonged stretch of being bad, it's not like they're paying him a ton of money. I could definitely flip to your line of thinking within a span of 3 to 4 weeks.
And I guess that's where I'm at is like his line of thinking. I understand the logic behind it, but I just feel like it's so far down the pecking order of other things. Like to see Vogelbach DFA'd and Yu Chang still here, I'm flipping this table. And I know what you're saying. Like I get the line of thinking. It's just we shouldn't have to reach that point. There's plenty of other options we can do beforehand than to get that extreme.
Yeah, it's more that I prefer. It's just that I prefer to see younger guys in the lineup. That's all.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
Having Dan Vogelbach in the lineup, I don't care enough to see him hit for a 120 weighted runs created plus, and that's an upside of him. But he's like, not part of the future.
Chang's here,
is what it is.
And then Van Meter will eventually be here, and then Kevin Newman will eventually be here, and it's like, how about all those guys? Like, let's maybe just get rid of them before we get rid of Vogelbach.
I would gladly get rid of all of them.
Right. So that's all. That's where I'm at.
To be fair, Vogelbach has not been good since he's come out off the IL.
Yeah,
he's been very bad.
Maybe there's something more to the injury.
Well, let's find out quickly.
In 5 games too, so it's not a ton of time. But you're right. Ever since he's come back from the injury, I mean, he's 2 for. I don't want to do the math. He's 2 hits.
I mean,
he's 2 for. That's the math.
76 weighted runs created plus. That was before tonight when he went 0 for 4. So that's worse now. But
I mean, just to push it back from, you put it back to May 1st. He's hitting 167, 282, 364, 84 weighted runs created plus. He's been bad for a while.
His issue is I don't think he has, like, he should not be in the lineup against a lefty at all. And they've been doing it a couple times here lately. And like under no circumstance should he really be getting at bats against lefties.
It's fair.
So let's maybe bring up some more young bucks. Right, the star of the show to begin the season, right? Let's see Diego Castillo. I think the luster's wearing off a little bit on Diego Castillo. So tonight he goes 0 for 3 strikeouts. Has the golden sombrero. Has an OPS now of 554. Now I'm not saying like, okay, we're done with Diego Castillo. We give up on him, but he got his taste. We've seen the other guys come up. There's word that O'Neal Cruz, like the guy behind Jim right now, could be near on a call up. Ironic how that turns out. Super 2 passing. But anyways, so there's word he's coming up. So I feel like, I mean, is it writing on the wall? Do you guys feel like Diego Castillo maybe could use some more time in the minors? Like that's the switch coming up? Or maybe even beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, I got to think when you're looking at people who, if O'Neal Cruz is ready, right, and you're thinking, what's the move? Castillo makes sense, right? You could send him down to AAA. He could be the everyday shortstop there, get everyday playing time, get some at bats to kind of figure it out because he really has looked a little bit overwhelmed at times in the majors. He's not hitting well at all. And I feel like he hasn't been hitting and really all year long. Since spring training he was, but he never really got out of the gate, that quick. And he's kind of just been sputtering. Defense has been pretty good from him. But yeah, I think he could definitely benefit from some AAA playing time. He only has 18 games of AAA baseball under his belt. So send him down there, kind of reacclimate himself, get some confidence. But yeah, I think when Cruz is called up, which is hopefully soon, Castillo's probably the guy that gets sent down. because he's going to lose playing time. Like at that point, he's not going to play.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at too. Like if Cruz comes up, there's your shortstop. We already talked about the depth in the outfield now, so it's like where's Castillo even really going to play at?
I don't disagree.
You could say
with you guys.
second, but then you also have Marcano, Van Meter, and Chang. But Chang's gone as soon as and I mean, not a fan of Yoshi, but as soon as Yoshi is activated,
As soon as a human comes off.
yeah. Chang's gone as soon as like a body comes off the IL. You're right. So he'll be out of here soon. And I got to think Castillo is probably the guy who goes down for Cruz when that happens.
I tend to agree with you, but you look at Diego's numbers. I mean, his expected weighted on base average is 327, which is well above average of major league hitters. He's put together good at bats. It's not falling for him, but like Jim already said, it's one of those he's not going to get time. So there's no reason to keep him up here. You got to give him regular at bats, and he's the clear option, I think. And they're going to need to have a Josh Van Meter to DFA whenever they need to.
Right.
It's coming.
We're
close. We're close, boys.
Getting closer.
Anthony brings up though he's been barreling some balls, and that's true. Like you can tell he's been hitting a lot of balls far and hard, but they get caught at the warning track.
Yeah, I said I think he would be a very good 25th man on a good team.
Well, not right now. He's bad right now. I mean, there's no way around it. He's bad.
That was a joke towards our group text, but nobody gets it.
And you were saying that about Van Meter, which was wildly incorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut that up.
But yeah, again, like I'm still encouraged by Castillo, but he's just not having any like playing time. Like it would just make a whole lot of sense for him to go down, so that way he's playing every day. Cruz is going to be coming up here shortly, hopefully, and so like that's the thing too. Like this is a really exciting point of time, to a degree. Like I say, really exciting because it's been very disastrous for quite some time. Just the fact that you're getting fresh blood, and soon we won't see the Chains, we won't see the Van Meters. Like you're seeing players that you want to see. Now, how they perform is a different level, right? How good the team becomes is, I don't think anyone really cares about. It's just that you're finally seeing players that are capable, that are part of the future. Have some performance where Yu Chang just isn't, Van Meter isn't, right? Kevin Newman isn't. So I mean, we're there, and so I don't know. The guy that's again it's behind yourself right now, Jim, O'Neal Cruz hits another home run tonight.
Did you see it?
I didn't. I saw the
ball
out that was hit 117 miles an hour.
The ball probably would have bounced on the plate. Like that's how low it was. Breaking ball down, he golfed it, and he hit it 440 feet.
So it was like the Albias.
He just went out to the yard. It. And it was like I want you to, as soon as we're done here, make sure you watch that video. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he actually hit the ball that far.
He's an anomaly.
You know what I'm happy about? The fact that we're joining the PBN network at this time and not the beginning of the year when I said I don't want to watch Pirates games. And now I kind of want to watch Pirates games. And now all of a sudden we're doing post-game shows. So I don't hate having to watch them.
Yeah, it's a good time of the year to do post-game shows now, and because there's actually reasons to watch games. Hopefully, even more of a reason to watch games in about a week from now.
Yeah. Tomorrow is a very good reason to watch a game for about, hopefully 6 innings.
Very much.
After that, I mean, I'll probably tune out, but there's reason to watch now.
Yeah. No,
well, tomorrow's Ronzi Day.
I say when I say excited, again, like there really hasn't been a whole lot to be excited about these past few years, and we're getting there. This is the time that like you're finally seeing the future. Like this rebuild is starting to come to some fruition.
We said at the beginning of the year that just survive until like June. That's all we got to do. Just survive it, because it's going to be a long few months, and then it'll start to come.
And
so
even when
Thursday,
that does happen, you're still going to have like the issue that you're going to have with this lineup now from a consistency standpoint is you're going to be starting like 5 rookies a night, which is fun. Like from an interesting standpoint, like I want to watch
lefties.
that. No right-handed bats at all. Keep Ryan Hayes like the only righty on the team. But you are gonna run into some nights where they're just like overwhelmed and overmatched just because there's so many rookies out there. But then you'll also have nights where like exciting stuff happens because they're wanting to make an impact, and you see Jack Suwinski walk-offs and stuff like that. So no, it should be exciting. I'm really looking forward to Cruz coming up. Hopefully it's very, very soon. You mentioned tomorrow, Contreras, another start against like another really good young pitcher too. So he went up against Mackenzie Gore a couple weeks ago. Now he's going up against Spencer Strider. So I think Strider was a 2020 draft pick. So he made it up to the majors pretty quick. He looks pretty good too. So it should be a fun, like I said, if you like that Mackenzie Gore game with Rowanzy, this one should be pretty good too.
No, I think
Nice.
we've survived the point of the unwatchable days. They should be getting to the point where they're going to start become watchable.
Yep. And like what I want to point out too, because there's certainly some chatter about this, right? Like, oh, team full of rookies, they can't win. Well, it's very improbable that, they could win. But I think what we're missing out on is just the label that a team full of rookies can't win. Well, this team that was constructed before the rookies came up certainly couldn't win.
Yeah,
it was terrible. Like these guys aren't major leaguers for the most part. So like, I hate that line of thinking because yes, this team isn't going to now just suddenly win. But I think what we're missing out on is this team can probably at least be competitive in games. There's plenty of times these teams aren't competitive. I mean, again, Jim was at the game, for Christ's sakes, in Chicago, right? When they put up 20 spot. Like this team was awful. So what you're seeing now is, like you said, like there's going to be nights where they look lost, right? And they don't click. Well, that was every night. Like Josh Van Meter was in the lineup for how many weeks? Yu Chang is in the lineup now. Like all these guys are terrible. They never clicked. So it's like, at least you're going to have those nights where these guys are clicking and do something, right? Jack Suwinski hits the walk-off home run and such. I mean, these guys, even though they're going to go through the rough spells, right? And there's going to be some rough stretches, and there certainly will. Thing is, this has been 1 month long rough stretch for the Pirates until these guys started coming up. So you're going to start seeing some good things happen. And the thing is, like, these are guys you're invested with. O'Neal Cruz probably is going to be a lot better than Kevin Newman ever was, than Diego Castillo is right now. So even though he's a rookie, he's going to make this team better. The same way Jack Suwinski, as a rookie, has already made this team better. And Rowanzy Contreras, as a rookie, is making this team better. Because the thing is, these guys are rookies, but they're way better than the guys they're replacing. Which, again, speaks that they should have been here April 7th in St. Louis.
At the very least,
the Pirates get a draft pick.
At the very least, you have a few innings to tune in for, and you got a few at-bats to tune in for. We didn't have that before.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying a team can't win with rookies. They absolutely can. And again, this team wasn't constructed to win without rookies. So it's not – this team isn't going to get worse because they're bringing up O'Neal Cruz and they're sending down or they're DFAing Yu Chang, right? Oh, yeah, Kevin Newman. Can't wait for him.
Got the other right-handed bat, Jim.
Yeah.
Kevin Newman.
I can't wait for O'Neal Cruz to sit on the bench for Kevin Newman.
I don't know what's gonna like. This is another topic for the day, but
Yeah.
if these rookies, right, these young guys are playing the way they're playing, what happens with Kevin Newman at that point in time?
I mean, even what happens to, like, Ben Gamel. Like, I mean, Ben Gamel doesn't have room because, like, you really want to see Suwinski and Swaggerty and Mitchell, and then you get Ben Gamel back, who's like actually a competent. He's one of the very few competent major leaguers that was on this team to begin with, and so now you get Ben Gamel in, and it's like, well, what do you do with Ben Gamel? And then you got to
mind you,
well, maybe you trade Ben Gamel, right? You know, that's a interesting thought there, but you're also not going to get anything for him. Like, if you trade Ben Gamel to a contender, he becomes a fourth outfielder, bench bat. No one's giving you anything substantial for that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, let's say before the trade deadline comes, which you're right, like you probably get traded. Now, mind you, he was taking reps at first, so maybe that's also your first base answer. Because you say what happens at Ben Gamel, maybe the writing really is what happens to Yoshi. Well, he goes, and then maybe Ben Gamel now becomes your first baseman.
No, I mean, the other part of that equation is Mason Martin.
Eventually. Maybe
I think Martin.
The trade
I think
happens.
Martin has more of a chance to stay in AAA for a while.
I would agree, but there's a lot of moving pieces with all of this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm alluding to. So Ben Gamel becomes the first baseman for the most part, right? The majority. Trade deadline comes, and that's Mason Martin's way of getting up to the majors.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's going to be a fun July.
Hopefully a fun
It
second
is,
half
actually.
of June. Hopefully this fun second half of June, fun July. Yeah. Honestly,
Yeah.
once this team has Cruz on it, like, it should be a lot more fun. Like, because then you're thinking Hayes, Cruz, Reynolds, Suwinski seems fun.
They're going to find a catcher. Goddamn.
The catching is not fun. They're just you just gotta. There's a guy back there, and that's it.
Pirates fans, buckle up, because like mid 2023, maybe we got Henry Davis.
Yeah, hopefully.
Did he get hit by a pitch again tonight?
No, he caught a no-hitter tonight. Bradenton Marauders threw a no-hitter tonight. Henry Davis was catching. So, and it was also other interesting news.
I'll give Jim all the credit in the world. Henry Davis looks like a stud.
Consensus number 1 overall pick, according to Peter Gammons.
He's a stud. Dude can swing it.
Davis did get hit by another pitch today, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I think is his like 15th or 16th of the season. Just something stupid.
No, I think it's his 13th, but it's 13 of 25, right? 25 games. No, it's 12 and 25. So it's 13 and 26 games. In half the games, he's gotten hit.
Yeah. But no, so interesting day though for Bradenton today though. So Henry Davis had a rehab start there, caught a no-hitter. The first 3 innings of that no-hitter, Quinn Priester, his first outing of the year, three hitless innings. And then 4 hitless innings, Anthony Solometo came in and pitched 4 scoreless, hitless innings. So good day for the Marauders there.
Nice.
But yeah, he does have padding on his left elbow and his left wrist. So that's good. But yeah, he needs to cut down on those. Really, once you hit the majors, then hopefully you've got pitchers who are throwing strikes and not hitting you as much.
Right.
Hopefully.
Actually, this is kind of funny because the irony in it. Because Anthony says, is he getting hit because if he's talking to Kendall?
Yeah. Kendall's giving him pointers.
Right. Hey, kid, you want to get out of hell?
All the time.
I'll get you out of hell, kid. Oh, man. All right. So I guess we can kind of wrap this up. Pirates do lose 3-1. They played again the Braves tomorrow, 4-game series. It's Roansy Day, so something to look forward to. Any last words before we go?
Nope.
I don't think so.
No.
A lot of strikeouts tomorrow. So if you're a strikeout guy, Spencer Strider's a strikeout guy. Contreras is a strikeout guy. Probably going to be a lot of strikeouts.
I'm going to check that out.
Bets.
I'm going to smash some things tomorrow.
13.5 strikeouts per 9 for Strider this year.
Yeah. And it's the Pirates. So
And it's the Pirates. Yeah.
Yep.
they had 13 strikeouts tonight.
Right on cue.
Right.
And Contreras is at 10. Contreras is at 10. So a lot of strikeouts tomorrow.
Cool. All right, we'll be back. So again, tonight was Thursday. So usually our podcast night's a little bit longer, but tomorrow we'll be back for the post game, of course, and so forth. So we will see you then. Bye-bye.
Pacific Scouts.
See you guys.